In WWE, friendships can be powerful but fragile. Batista and Rey Mysterio weren't just partners, they were brothers. One was power, the other heart. Together, they conquered the tag division, celebrated wins, and stood for loyalty. But hidden behind the smiles was tension, resentment, jealousy. This is the story of a friendship that turned into fury and the betrayal that left fans stunned. I'm gonna rip your head off. That's how it ended. The Brotherhood begins. This wasn't just a team, it was a brotherhood. Rey Mysterio, the ultimate underdog, a man who defied size, logic, and gravity, the heart of the people. A legend who earned every cheer with sacrifice and spirit. Batista, the animal, fresh off his destruction of evolution, a powerhouse forged in dominance. A man who crushed legends on his rise to the top. On paper, they were complete opposites. One flew through the air, the other smashed through walls. But in 2005, something unexpected happened. They became tag team partners. And not just any team, they shocked the world. Against all odds, against bigger teams and louder doubters, Rey and Batista captured the WWE Tag Team Championships. The moment was electric. The crowd didn't just cheer, they believed. To the fans, they weren't just co-workers in a storyline. They were brothers, real ones. They celebrated like family, protected each other like blood. Rey and Batista became a symbol of unity, muscle and heart, side by side. And in a world where betrayals are common, fans believed this friendship was different, unbreakable. But in WWE, nothing stays perfect forever. Eddie Guerrero's death. But then, tragedy struck. In November 2005, the WWE Universe lost one of its brightest lights, Eddie Guerrero, a legend, a warrior, and Rey Mysterio's best friend. Eddie wasn't just a tag partner or locker room brother, he was family to Rey. His passing shattered Mysterio. You could see it in Rey's eyes, in his silence, in the way he walked to the ring. He wasn't just mourning a friend, he was carrying a legacy. But Rey wasn't alone. In his darkest moment, Batista stood by him, not just as a partner, but as a brother in grief. They didn't just share victories anymore, they shared loss. When Rey won the 2006 Royal Rumble, entering at number 2 and lasting over 62 minutes, he didn't raise the trophy for himself. He pointed to the sky. For Eddie, he dedicated the moment, the fight, the dream, to the man who inspired him most. Batista? He didn't just clap from the sidelines. He called Rey his family in every sense of the word. They hugged backstage. They cried. They promised to carry on Eddie's name. Their bond? It wasn't just strong, it was sacred. But with every spotlight came shadows. With every cheer, pressure mounted, because now Rey wasn't just fighting for championships, he was fighting for legacy. And Batista, once the center of attention, was now standing in the shadow of a grieving hero. And slowly, something began to crack. Champions and challengers. By 2009, the Brotherhood was back, but not without its scars. Batista had returned from injury, ready to reclaim his place in the spotlight. But things had changed. Rey Mysterio was no longer just the little guy. He was a former world heavyweight champion, respected not just for his resilience, but for standing tall, alone. Still, when the two reunited, fans erupted. Nostalgia hit hard. The brothers were back. Power and speed, muscle and flight. The dream team once again. But this time, something felt off. Rey was getting thunderous reactions. His underdog story, his connection with the crowd, it was stronger than ever. Meanwhile, Batista's cheers, fainter, less passionate. The animal wasn't the fan favorite anymore, and he knew it. At first, the cracks were small, miscommunications in matches, missed tags, hesitations. But soon, they turned into cold, silent stares in the ring. Batista's frustration wasn't loud, but it was visible. Every time Rey raised his arms in victory, Batista's fists clenched a little tighter. Rey, loyal to a fault, never saw it coming. He thought they were still a team, still brothers. But in Batista's mind, Rey was no longer a partner. He was a problem. And the animal? He was losing patience. Bragging rights. 2009, the final straw. In the main event, 3 titans clashed. The Undertaker, Batista, and Rey Mysterio. A triple threat match for the World Heavyweight Championship. 1 ring, 1 prize. And 1 fragile friendship hanging by a thread. Rey didn't hold back. He flew with everything he had. 6'119's dives, heart, and speed. He didn't care that Batista was in the match. He just wanted to win. Batista brought the rage. The animal unleashed fury on both opponents, determined to claim the spotlight he felt had been taken from him. But in the end, it was The Undertaker who walked out still champion. And Batista? He snapped. He didn't see Rey as the loyal friend who fought beside him. He saw him as the reason he lost again. Rey, trying to console his brother, extended a hand, still believing their bond meant something. But Batista didn't want sympathy. He didn't want comfort. He wanted revenge. Then came the moment that silenced the arena. Standing in the ring, eyes burning with fury, Batista looked at Rey and growled, "I'm tired of your crap. I'm gonna rip your head off." Then, boom! A brutal clothesline. The crowd gasped. The animal unleashed hell. Years of friendship destroyed in seconds. The betrayal wasn't just shocking, it was personal. Friendship turns to fury. Batista didn't just turn his back on Rey Mysterio. He erased him. In the weeks following bragging rights, Batista transformed. Gone was the silent protector. What remained was the animal. Unleashed, uncontrolled, unforgiving. Every time Rey stepped into the arena, Batista was there. Not with warnings, with war. Attacks in the ring. Blindsides backstage. Cold promos where Batista didn't just question Rey's loyalty, he mocked it. He humiliated Rey publicly, saying he carried him, that Rey was always dead weight. That their friendship? A lie? A stepping stone? And Rey was shattered. He didn't want to fight. Not at first. Not against someone he once called mi hermano. He hoped it was a phase. That Batista would come back to his senses, that the pain would pass. But this was WWE, and WWE doesn't wait for healing. It doesn't pause for heartbreak. It demands retribution. Eventually, Rey struck back, fighting not just for survival, but for dignity. But by then, it was too late. This wasn't the same Batista. This was a man possessed, consumed by resentment, fueled by jealousy. His eyes weren't filled with rage. They were empty. The animal was fully unleashed. And Rey Mysterio, he wasn't just a rival now. He was a target. The final confrontation. By the end of 2009, the friendship was long dead. All that remained was war. Rey Mysterio had finally stepped up, not as a friend, but as a fighter. The underdog no longer ran. He stood his ground. But Batista? He wasn't there to compete. He was there to destroy. Their feud exploded in a storm of brutality. Backstage ambushes, SmackDown beatdowns, and one of the most vicious matches of the year, the chairs match at TLC 2009. Steel met bone, flesh met fury. Rey brought the fire. He threw everything he had, 6-1-19s, high-flying counters, every ounce of speed and heart. He didn't fight for revenge. He fought for closure. But Batista? He fought like a man possessed. With every chair shot, he sent a message. There are no brothers in war, only victims. Rey tried to survive, to endure. But Batista's rage had no limits, no mercy, no pause. Each time they clashed, Batista reminded the world, this wasn't a rivalry, it was an execution. And for Rey, no matter how much heart he brought to the fight, it wasn't enough to stop the animal. Aftermath and legacy. In 2010, Batista left WWE. The animal walked away, not as a hero, not even as a villain, but as a man who had burned the bridge behind him. Rey Mysterio remained, the resilient luchador, the fan favorite, the beating heart of WWE. He continued to fly, to inspire, but the scars, they never fully healed. The betrayal wasn't just another storyline. It was personal, and fans felt it. Years later, in scattered moments, the two would share the ring again. A handshake here, a smile there. Professionalism returned. The past was buried but never erased. Because some things, even in wrestling, feel real. And for the WWE Universe, that betrayal still lingers, not because it came from a monster, but because it came from a brother. A partnership once built on trust was shattered by ambition. And in a world where alliances come and go, this one still hurts. The story of Rey Mysterio and Batista isn't just about titles or matches, it's about loyalty, heartbreak, and the painful truth. Sometimes the loudest betrayals come from the ones who once stood closest to you. In WWE, the line between fiction and reality often disappears. Characters become people, moments become memories. And sometimes, the most painful betrayals don't come from your enemies. They come from your friends. Batista and Rey Mysterio weren't just tag partners. They were champions, brothers, icons of loyalty and unity. But what they left us with was more than gold. They gave us a moment that fans still talk about, a betrayal so raw, so real, it shook the WWE Universe. It wasn't scripted, it was personal. And no matter how much time passes, we'll never forget the night the animal turned on the underdog. Because that wasn't just the end of a team. It was the end of a brotherhood. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more.